welcome. This is the Pawn Sacrifice channel, and this is episode 23 of the Porsche 924S Turbo build. And there's a link if you're new to the channel and want to go and see what we've done today. Everything from removing the engine, building engine mounts, fixing the sump, torque tube adapters, right up to fitting in a different brake system, which I did in the last episode, which was actually yesterday. So that's all done. This time I'm going to be persevering. This is a stack, that's a stack of failed attempts to make a water pump takeoff. So I'm going to be persisting with that. People that have been with me for a while, you will have seen me try this a few times and fail, so I'm not going to put you through all of that again. There'll be a bit of fast forwarding, and I'll just show you the stuff that I'm doing that's going to be a bit different. Then there's more metal cutting. So this is the standard factory cable operated throttle body that goes for this engine. This is, I can't remember because I bought it so long ago, some sort of V6 one. As you can see, it's quite a bit bigger. I think all the electronics are the same, it's just bigger. So I need to make an adapter to fit that. I think what I'm going to do is also bring it down. It's going to be easier if I do it this way, is just bring it down from where it is on the engine at the moment, and sort of point it towards where the intercooler piping is going to be. There may be some other things I need to cut up, I can't quite remember, but I'll figure that out as I go along, see how I'm doing for time. So probably a bit of music and some fast forwarding through me making this water pump takeoff, and hopefully getting it right this time so I don't cry horribly at the end. So what I've done slightly differently there is to drill this at an angle coming up. So in addition to not putting the groove into the back as I have done previously, so where I'd done that before, the idea was to put an O-ring in to try and match the way that the original one was made, but what I've done is I've found some gasket material. So I'm going to put a gasket on and cut it to shape instead. That's all nicely sized now and fits roughly where I want it to. What I will do is, once this is cut to shape and on, just work out what shape I want the other side of that to be, and then ball that out. The reason is like it is, so essentially what this is going to do is have an AN fitting which will be welded to that, which will then go essentially like that, with the flow following through. So let me see if I can set this up right to show you. Probably not, but you never know. So that will be essentially the water going straight in at the angle in which it's going to be going into the engine, rather than just straight anyway. It's the whole thing, which I've explained before. So I now need to cut this out. About time so that's now fits and is flat. There's going to be a gasket that will sit behind there. I've decided not to taper it. This could look a lot nicer if I just tapered that down, but I think this is probably better for strength. That will then be TIG welded. So I'm just going to, it's not quite level or the angle that I want, so I'm just going to try and raise it that way a little bit. And then I'm just going to sort of taper the insides here, but I'm just going to get this done first. This is quite amazing. It was a day that I was starting to wonder whether it would ever come in terms of getting this sort of fabricated up. So that's now ground down. I might need to just have another go at levelling that off. So we have some victory. So that will be hopefully all tigged up together, and water will flow gloriously from the pump into the engine, and there we go. Everything's yeah, so what I have done is just rounded or tapered the edges there slightly. The bit that it's going into is wider. I think what I might do is, once this is welded, is just have a look and see if I need to do the same at all on through the main section. But oh my god, it's glorious. Look at it in all its glory. It still needs to be welded up, and hopefully that can all be done. Yeah, so that's that, and essentially what I'm going to be doing is, for this top section, is just use this gasket material that I found, which is, it says oil resistant, but it also said water as well. So essentially that will be cut to shape on there and bolted like the devil down. What I might do is just use a touch of ring of some sort of gasket T type stuff around the edge, and I think that's then good to go. So the next bit I'm going to do is have a look at what I need to chop up for the intake manifold, and we'll see how we get on with that in the morning. Right, good day. Right, next day after the success of finally creating the water takeoff, time to get started on the bits around the intake manifold and the throttle body. So as I mentioned previously, or at the start, essentially this is going to be mounted thusly, just for clearance on the top, so I wanted to move that down a little bit and get it pointing sort of in the direction it needs to go. For that, because you can get adapter plates for these, essentially, which just move it out a little bit, but yeah, I think it's probably best if I put it down and out of the way. So what I am going to do is have this plate, which I'm going to cut and drill again, so more cutting and drilling, I'm afraid. So essentially there's a plate on there, and then similarly there's another one on the back of the throttle body. So essentially they'll all just nicely line up, I hope. And then a section of pipe. So this is 3-inch hard pipe, and I think what I'll do is take this section out and then keep the ends so that they can be connected with hoses, and this is what I use to get another section welded in. So yeah, so essentially that's going to be sort of there. It's only a slight variation in angle, but hopefully it will do the job. Okay, that was very brief, or it will be once I've edited it together, because I've realised there's a problem. So I cut my little sheet out, adapter plates for pipe, blah 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 blah. But I've just noticed when I go, so that pipe essentially is the same outer diameter as the throttle body, and the problem that I have with it is it doesn't then fit inside. Now that's going to cause me issues, and I think even if I went and got something a bit smaller that is going to fit inside there, by the time the welds are on, it's going to make it too small, which is a bit annoying. So I think what I'm going to have to try and do is make an adapter plate. So I will use, thankfully, I've still got some of this thicker sheet left, essentially something that I can bolt onto here and then bolt the larger throttle body to from the other side. All my talk of precision work, and to be honest, the half-icing it that I did last time was actually more accurate. So I think that's probably the policy that I'm going to adopt. Mind you, the next one has to be super precise. Yeah, so I've got two that fit perfectly, and then the other two are just a bit all over the place. So it's two that fit perfectly. Yeah, that one's too tight, and that one's nowhere. So I'm just going to have to drill those two out a bit, which is really irritating. Okay, that's now on. What I need to do is sink these bolts down, because obviously that's not going to, is that the bigger one? Yeah, that's not going to sit on top, or I'm not going to be able to locate that as it is. So I'm going to need some sinking there. So I'm just going to measure out what the distance is that I need them to drop, which is essentially going to be that side, essentially, well, that depth including the washer, because I don't think those want to come off, and just get them out of the way. So there's plenty of depth there to play with. So I just need to work that out and get the countersink stuff ready, and let's talk precision, because they're all sitting nicely. I've just got a horrible feeling that this is now going to bolt on, but we will see. I feel slightly happier / vindicated because this does fit. I just had to rotate it, which means that and the reason I'm feeling slightly vindicated is obviously that the holes in the manifold aren't completely square. So I've minimised the amount of real estate that I'm using up on here, because I'm going to need that for other things. So I now need to see how I can best overlay the other manifold, the throttle body on top of this, the larger one, and then obviously drill and tap, which is why, so I think what I'm going to try and do is drill and tap it, because obviously that will be more precise. Otherwise what I'll have to do is set it up so that I countersink the basic drill through and then countersink bolts from the other side, but that's not as neat a solution. So I think I want to try and work with this if I can. I'll then drill out the centre hole when I've done the rest of it. Basically I need that as a point of reference for the moment, so I don't want to be drilling anything there right now. Okay, here's my thinking part 2. So it won't, because of where the holes are, and because of the way that that's now done, it won't sit exactly over the top, because I'll essentially be drilling into what's already there, which obviously isn't going to work. I could rotate it, but if I do around the centre, my worry then is I think that I don't think there's enough clearance on the bonnet, so I think when I do that, that's going to be snagging on the bonnet, and also it's possibly not going to be, the line of travel for the cable is probably not going to be ideal. So what I think I'm going to do is mount it below and essentially have the hole going up. But because basically, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but if I mount it below, it's going to clash with the, if you can see it, the bolts on the bottom. So what I have to do is drill something smaller and then use the sense of balance and finger sander to basically widen the hole out. Essentially, what it's going to be doing, just put this down, is, if you can see in here, probably see easier with the flap open, essentially that's not completely flat, that's slightly curved. So that's what I'm going to try and do, is just basically make that sort of lip type thing. So before I change my mind, let's get on and make some more mess. Actually, I do need to tidy up a little bit first, I think. So this is my tap and die kit. One thing where it does come in quite useful is just working out exactly what size the bolts are. So this sucker is M6 by 1.0. There is a measuring tool here, but I find it easy just to experiment with the dies. So M6 1.0 is on the charts. M6 1.0. I need a 5mm drill bit. Against the odds, it seemed to have worked. Obviously I still need to trim the outside and also make a way of getting the air through. But yeah, the important thing is everything's bolted together nicely. Well, I've just been up doing some editing and it seems that this video is getting quite long already, so rather than going to the next stage of making the hole through for the airflow for the intake adapter, I'm going to call it here and pick that up next time. I'm a good way, a bit of the way through, and we'll be getting on with that once this has been fiddled and sorted. So hopefully the next one won't be too long behind, albeit I say that quite often. Pleased to have the water pump, the adapter done, which is great. I know I still obviously need to get that welded. I need to work out what other bits I need of aluminum welding I need to get done, but I'll have a look at that possibly next. As always, thank you for watching, and hopefully catch you very soon for the next episode when I'm finishing this bit and then working out exactly what else I'm going to be doing. So yeah, catch you soon. Cheers. Bye.